Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees. So the Yankees embarked on quite a long road trip in mid-July. It was 10 games in 11 days. Again, they had that one little stop off in Houston, just to, which would probably be part of a doubleheader later on. Again, the Yankees kind of had to make up some games they lost at Houston in early April. So they had that one game in Houston, which they dropped 2-1. We kind of covered that in the previous conversation with Jason from 161 River Avenue. But we'll go over the rest of the series on the road trip, some of the key takeaways and important moments of that. Some Yankee bats heating up, which is good news for the Yankees. And, of course, we'll look at the All-Star game coming up. The Yankees sending a handful of players to the All-Star game. We'll let you know who those players are. But before we get into all this stuff, if you haven't done it already, make sure you subscribe to the audio podcast version of this show. So wherever you get your favorite podcast, go look up Section 420 Talkin Yankees, subscribe, and get exclusive content. Again, it's content only exclusive to your podcast subscribers. So be part of the fun. Make sure you subscribe today. Now, when Cleveland was at the Yankee Stadium early this season, the Yankees swept them all three games. We remember the walk-off hit by Gleyber Torres, which ended with the beers being thrown at the Cleveland outfielders. So the Yankees swept that series out. Now the Yankees were going to come in to face Cleveland, and this is going to be the final three games. So these two teams are only going to face each other twice. And so for the Yankees starting off Friday night, would like to play, but unfortunately the rain gods took over. They had to actually postpone the Friday night game, so that became a part of a day-night doubleheader Saturday. And for the Yankees, kind of the best situation you want. You would have Cole for Game 1 and Nestor Cortez for Game 2. Now, since this was a doubleheader, as you know with the new rules, you could have a 27th man player, and of course that was Miguel Andujar. So he was called up for this doubleheader. And Andujar, again, last time we heard from him, not really on the best terms with the Yankee front office. Wants to be moved again because he's not getting the playing time. They keep sending him down to the minors when he feels he should be up here and getting playing time. And again, it's an interesting point, just given the fact that with the struggles of Gallo, but again, the Yankees still seem to favor Gallo over Miggy. But Miggy come up here, was able to come up for this doubleheader. And for Cole, fell behind early in the second inning, thanks to a couple of home runs from Josh Naylor as well as Franmil Reyes, back-to-back home runs. And kind of seen this from Cole a little bit this season, kind of weird. Just giving up multiple home runs in the same inning. Again, kind of remember the series back in Minnesota. He actually gave up 3 home runs in one inning. Again, overall, Cole having a good season, but we've seen this from Cole, just having these kind of breakdowns where he just has one inning that goes terrible for him. The rest of the game is fine, but he kind of just gets roughed up for one inning. So this was the case for Cole, so fell behind early 2-0. But the Yankees got right back on the board the next inning in the third inning, starting with DJ LeMahieu hitting a home run to cut the score to 2-1. And then the Yankees end up scoring 3 more runs in that inning, take a 4-2 lead, and not really look back from there. Really, the hero of the game overall for the Yankees would be Matt Carpenter. I guess the Roy Hobbs, 37 years old. 3 hits in the game, including 2 home runs. Yankees, pretty much this one was a laugher. Only kind of interesting point for the Yankees now in the 7th inning. This became the official return for Aroldis Chapman, which we knew was going to happen. They planned it. It was supposed to actually be Friday night because of the rain out. They moved it to Saturday, and I guess him coming back from the Achilles injury. Again, he's been out for quite a while. And this was the kind of decision I didn't really think was too good by Boone. I kind of disagreed with a little bit. Now, he had a sloppy inning, walked 3 batters, had to be yanked for Rob Marinaccio, who had to come out and bail him out. And so Chapman couldn't even get one out. But I kind of don't blame Chapman too much for this because I just didn't like the idea of putting him in the 7th inning. I know Clay Holmes is now the 9th inning man. He's the closer. But again, Chapman's been a 9th inning pitcher pretty much his whole career. So I just think from the mindset, if you were planning to use him, you should have waited till the 9th inning, just so he's in that mind. Even though would have been a safe situation, just have these players have the routine of when they get off the bullpen bench, when they kind of warm up their arm a little bit, when they stretch a little bit, when they flip a towel around. They have all these things mapped out during the game. So I just think moving him up to the 7th inning to do that might have messed with his head a little bit. But I can understand Boone wanted to do it at the time. Again, the Yankees were up 10-3, so figure out he got a big lead. Let me throw him in there. But again, Chapman not effective. So that was kind of the only blemish for the game. But Cole himself was fine. Gave the Yankees 6 innings. Only gave up the 2 earned home runs. Again, those 2 home runs early on. 6 strikeouts for his 7th win. And even Trevino getting on the action later on, hitting a home run in the 9th inning, put the Yankees up, and they take the first game 13-4. Now, this wasn't like a 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock doubleheader. It was a 1 o'clock and then like a 7 o'clock. So the Yankees had a couple hours in between the games. So maybe they might take a nap on the couch or play some video games, whatnot. But for the nightcap, it was Nestor Cortez on the mound for the New York Yankees. Now, he did fall behind early, giving up a home run in the bottom of the first to the former Met, Ahmad Rosario. And it took a while for the Yankee offense to get it going. And they scored 13 runs in the first game. But they finally did get on the board in the 4th, thanks to back-to-back home runs by Anthony Rizzo and Giancarlo Stanton. And again, these back-to-back home runs was something you'll see along the way throughout this entire road trip for the Yankees. It's kind of been their mantra lately, but especially on this road trip. But really, the big blow was in the 7th inning. Yankees pushed 4 runs across, highlighted by a double by Josh Donaldson, as well as an RBI single by IKF, and even Higgy added a sac fly to score Gallo at that point, putting the Yankees up 6-1. Now in the 9th inning, not a safe situation, but the Yankees decided to go with Wandy Peralta to close it out. Got a little dicey there, was a little sloppy, gave up a pair of singles. Now one of them was kind of like an infield sort of dribbler thing that really couldn't deal anything with, but they ended up hitting a bat as well. So with 2 outs, I guess Boone didn't want to mess around there. Again, even at the point of grand slam, only closes the game to 6-5. You're still up by a run, but I guess again, Boone didn't want to mess around. And since Clay Holmes hadn't pitched in a few games before that, brings out the closer and just gets the 1 out to close and seal the 6-1 victory for the New York Yankees. So the Yankees take those 2 first games in the Saturday, and again with all the offense, outscore Cleveland by a total score of 19-5. Which brings us to the finale game, and for the Yankees, not only looking for the weekend sweep at that point, but looking for the season sweep, see if they can sweep all 6 games against the Cleveland Guardians. Now, the Yankees had Jordan Montgomery on the mound, and lately it's been a different script for Jordan Montgomery, actually getting offensive support from the Yankees, which he hadn't been gotten in previous seasons and at the start of this season. But unfortunately, Monty did fall behind in the 4th inning, serving up a home run to Franmil Reyes. Again, he also took cold deep in that first game, behind 1-0. Now, what the Yankees probably didn't expect after scoring 19 runs the day before, of being absolutely shut down. So Tristan McKenzie shuts the Yankees down, 1 hits them throughout 7 innings. So it's just amazing. They scored 19 runs the game before, and then now they barely get 1 run in 7 innings, just to go to show. Now, the Yankees did make it a little bit interesting in the 9th inning. Now, Judge didn't start this game, which I made a good sense since the Yankees were going to have the next game Monday off. And Joe Girardi says there's a little bit too with some of the Yankees that give the player a game off on the final game of the series, just so if the next day is a scheduled day off, technically have 2 days off just to rest their body up. But Judge would be summoned later on. So in the 9th inning against Emmanuel Clase, again the closer for the Cleveland Guardians. Now Rizzo started the inning off with a walk, was always a good sign. So with nobody out, Stanton came up, and Stanton hit a little infield shot, a little dribble as a shortstop. Shortstop kind of mishandled the ball. Ball got bobbled at first, and Stanton was on safely. So now the Yankees had runners on first and second with nobody out. And again, the way these Yankees been, a lot of comebacks, a lot of special moments. You figured maybe this would be one of them. But unfortunately, the next 2 Yankees would get out, which would then have Boone summon Judge off the bench. And it's an opportunity for Judge with 1 swing, maybe go put 3 runs on the board and turn a 2-0 deficit to a 3-2 lead. Judge didn't hit a home run, but he did something just as valuable in a way. Did draw a walk, so loaded the bases for Aaron Hicks, giving Hicks an opportunity to do something special in the 9th. And we've seen some special moments from Hicks. Again, you remember the 3-run home run against the Houston Astros. Had that big triple against Tampa Bay down in Tampa a couple of weeks ago. So he's had a little 9th inning magic, but unfortunately for Hicks, he would ground out to second base. And again, the Yankees load the bases, but would come away with nothing and would drop that final game 2-0. But overall for the Yankees, 5-1 against Cleveland Guardians for the season. And again, did win the weekend series, but unfortunately couldn't get the sweep. But obviously rights the ship a little bit after dropping that first game in Houston, and then from there it's on to Pittsburgh. So going into the Pittsburgh series, again, this was going to be a 4-game set, so not a 3-gamer. So it's going to be 4 games. 2 would be, the first installment would be at PNC Park, and then later in September, the final 2 games at Yankee Stadium. But a little interesting storyline before going to this game, a couple of storylines, but one of them being for the New York Yankees, of course. Shortly, a few games before going down there, they did place Manny Banuelos on the waiver wire. Again, the former Yankee who finally got his opportunity to pitch for the Bombers on the major league level after being in the minor league system for so many years and then bounced around. Kind of a bit of a feel-good story. Now, he did give the Yankees some good quality innings, so I guess Pittsburgh found some value there. This became more of a roster spot for the Yankees as they were calling up, like pitchers like J.P. Sears, and just wasn't enough room for Banuelos, so they just ended up putting him on the waiver wire, and I guess Pittsburgh saw some value there, picked him up, so the Yankees traded Banuelos to Pittsburgh for cash considerations, and again, he was going to be made available for this series. So just kind of interesting that a quick turnaround is now the Yankees are your team, but now they're your enemy just like that. But one of the other big storylines was, of course, going to be the return of Jameson Taillon. Again, the former Pittsburgh Pirate. Again, also, as Cole was also from a Pittsburgh Pirate. Both of them actually teammates for a little bit there. And again, Cashman picking up Taillon before last offseason. Bit of a pet project, just because he lost a couple of years with some Tommy John surgery down in Pittsburgh. So this was going to be like Taillon's return to Pittsburgh and get revenge on the team that let him go and gave up on him, blah, blah, blah. And Taillon, again, having a great season for the Yankees, going in at the time 9-1, so not a 9-1 record, 9 wins on the season, so very impressive there. And you figure it was going to be his opportunity to shine and kind of stick it to them, but that would not be the case. Actually got outshined by Jose Quintana, who at least going into that game had lost 3 out of his 4 previous starts, so you'd figure the Yankees would have the upper hand there, but no, actually it would be the Pittsburgh offense that would get to Taillon, not the other way around. Now, got started up in the second inning, Daniel Vogelbach getting a solo home run, putting them on the board, getting 2 more runs in the fourth inning thanks to a 2-run home run by Jack Sherwinski, and then later an RBI double by Ben Gamel scoring O'Neill Cruz, at that point putting the Pirates up 4-0. So the return party for Jameson Taillon not going so well. Now, the 5th inning, finally the Yankees did get on board thanks to Aaron Judge getting an RBI single. But that would be pretty much it for the Yankee offense. It was kind of a sleepy game for the Yankees. Matt Carpenter also with an RBI single in the 8th inning to cut the lead. Cut the deficit 5-2 for the Yankees. And in the 9th inning, for the Pirates, their closer David Bednar comes on for the save and is able to close the game out. And actually, Judge, struck out Judge to end the game. So the Yankees kind of go quietly there in Game 1, 5-2. And this is kind of weird there because you had the Sunday game against Cleveland. The Yankees, put up a goose egg there, the offense, and now you have the day off, and now your first game back, you only muster up 2 runs against the Pittsburgh Pirates. So kind of looking, a little Jekyll and Hyde there situation. But the Yankees would more than make up for it in Game 2. Now, in the matchup there early on was a bit of a pitcher's duel between Luis Severino and Mitch Keller. Actually scoreless through 4 innings. And it was until the 5th inning that finally the Yankees got on the board, thanks to a 2 RBI single by DJ LeMahieu. But then, the fireworks will start after that in the 6th inning, thanks to back-to-back home runs by both Josh Donaldson and Joey Gallo. And this would be the point where you look back where the Donaldson bat's starting to finally heat up a little bit. Again, he was claiming that he was hitting the ball hard a lot, just having a bad, putting in the wrong place or line driving for a lot of people. But now on this road trip as well, Josh Donaldson finally seemed to pick up his bat a little bit and made this good sign for the Yankees for things to come. But nevertheless, the game itself, the Yankees really started pouring on late. In the 7th inning, another home run by Higgy right over the center field wall. And it got to the point then in the 8th inning where everything just went absolutely bonkers. And it was that same Manny Banuelos coming on the mound in the 8th inning against Aaron Judge with the bases loaded. Judge hitting a bomb to left field, a grand slam at that point, putting the Yankees up 9-0. At this point, it's becoming a real laugher. And then you got to the point that the Pirate bullpen was just so depleted at that point, they had to actually go to their second baseman, Josh Van Meter, to come on to throw some innings there. But he really didn't help as well. In the 9th inning, also with the bases loaded, Aaron Hicks hitting another grand slam. So they have 2 grand slams in this game at the point, putting the Yankees up 14-0 there. And the very next batter, Giancarlo Stanton, also goes deep on Van Meter at the point, making the game 15-0. So again, another back-to-back home run situation for the Yankees. Again, something we have seen and we'll see throughout the rest of this road trip for the Yankees. A lot of back-to-back home runs. Actually, they've done that for the entire season. But for the game itself, and of course, Higgy would also add an RBI later on after that, bringing the score up to 16-0, a complete blowout football score. So the Yankees kind of, the bats finally wake up in a big way. It'd been nice if they could have saved like maybe 10 of those runs and used it the night before, but nevertheless, the Yankees split that series 1-1. Again, the next 2 games will be in September at Yankee Stadium. And actually, it's pretty good news for the Yankees because you figure at that point, Pittsburgh, they're out of it already. They're way below 500, so you can go, their season's pretty much finished. But by September, they'll really be finished. And at that point, really not playing for anything. So for a good opportunity for the Yankees, I don't think they'll need it because, again, this team seems to be rolling pretty well. But it looks like at least 2 easy wins at Yankee Stadium, when these teams resume back in September. So after 2 brief games in Pittsburgh, the Yankees went north to Boston. And funny enough for the Yankees, only their second matchup against the Red Sox this season. You just figure with the rivalry and stuff like that, they would have had to face each other a little bit more, just the way they want to make the schedules. But this would only be the Yankees' second matchup against the Red Sox. First time visiting Fenway. Just again, kind of weird because already at the midway point of the season. But the Yankees, hosted the Red Sox to start the season at Yankee Stadium. But since then, in terms of the AL East, the Yankees have been pretty much playing everyone else except the Red Sox. So a lot of series against Baltimore, Tampa, Toronto, and now finally you can start seeing some of these Red Sox series. Which is going to be, pretty big because, Red Sox getting a bit on the rise in the standings a little bit. Now, the Yankees still confidently had 14 games going into this matchup. But again, this seems like, Red Sox making a little bit push there, and let's just see how it goes out. And at the trade deadline, they got some resources. They'll probably try to make a move like they did last offseason. But nevertheless, this first game, Garrett Cole on the mound for the Yankees. And pretty much, he was really good for this game. He would just have one problem called Rafael Devers, but we'll get into that. But for the Yankee offense, got it going in the third inning thanks to a grand slam from Josh Donaldson. So you've seen the Donaldson bat picking up, but just good for the fact that also now, if you take game 2 in Pittsburgh and now this first game in Boston, that's 3 grand slams in just 2 games. And right after Donaldson touched home plate, next batter up, Aaron Hicks, also going deep. So now you have not only that, but another back-to-back home run situation, something I said at the beginning earlier that you would see a lot of that throughout this road trip. Again, the Yankees going back-to-back a lot, so you're getting a lot of grand slams, a lot of back-to-back home runs. So again, jumping on Boston early there. The Yankees at that point with a 5-0 lead. Now, later in the game, in the third inning, finally up 6-0, Boston would get on the board thanks to a 2-run home run by Rafael Devers. But Cole still comfortably had 6-2 at that point. But again, in the 5th inning, Devers would strike again against Cole, this time for a 3-run home run, now closing the lead from 6-2 to 6-5. And for Devers, it was his 6th career home run against Garrett Cole. Again, because Garrett Cole dominates everybody except G-Man Troy down in Tampa and against Rafael Devers. Other than that, he's good against anybody. So it was a tight game all the way. The Yankee bullpen, though, did come through, and Clay Holmes on in the 9th inning. And I guess it was Clay Holmes first. I guess, big save opportunity in Fenway Park. Of course, we all know the images of seeing Chapman on the mound at Fenway Park with his drenched sweat, sweat drenched down from him. Very ugly situation. Now you can see, all right, how's Clay Holmes going to handle this? But he was in there, and it was money, it was ice, and he was able to lock down his 16th save. And the Yankees did take the first game, which now brings us to game 2 with Nestor Cortes on the mound. And it was a situation where really no starters were good in this game, but luckily the Yankee offense was on its game there. Now the Yankees jumped on Connor Seawald very early, scoring 4 runs in the first inning, also thanks to a 3-run home run by Josh Donaldson. Again, Donaldson bat really heating up there. Unfortunately for Nestor Cortes, he kind of gave a few runs right back in the bottom of the first inning, kind of cut the lead for 4-2. But again, the Yankee offense would just be rolling along there. And of course, a funny moment in the third inning with Joey Gallo up with 2 runners on, hit a mile-high pop-up to right field. I guess you call it a flyer. Probably would have been a home run at Yankee Stadium. But the right fielder, Christian Arroyo, lost the ball. Ball actually ended up hitting the warning tarp right there, bounced around a little bit. Now the 2 runners scored easily, and Gallo, just being ambitious, did make it to third, but wanted the inside the park home run. Unfortunately, was nailed at home. But at that point, you're up 7-2. So I'm okay with him, taking a shot there with that. But unfortunately, was gunned down. Again, the Yankees with a big lead there. Next inning, in the 4th, Matt Carpenter would add a home run as well, making the score 8-2. But again, unfortunately, Nestor Cortes really wasn't effective, wasn't give the Yankees much length. In the bottom of the 4th, gives up home runs to Bobby Dahlbeck, gives a couple of home runs as well to Trevor Story. Again, the Yankees still had pretty comfortably, but again, Nestor wasn't able to finish out the inning. That actually bring on Miguel Castro. He was able to get the Yankees across the 5th inning, and then from the Yankee bullpen, really came up just to quiet down the Boston offense moving forward. Really have to look at Lucas Lucky almost as the player of the game, even as a relief pitcher, giving the Yankees 3.1 innings of relief, just giving up 1 hit and striking out 6, so he kind of settled down the Yankee pitching there, and the Yankee offense was able to tack on runs. Final score would be 12-5, and the Yankees at that point now taking the first 2 games of the series at Fenway Park, and you kind of looking at your chops there, and the Yankees doing their best to kind of just push the Red Sox further and further down the AL East standings. Now, Game 3 was probably the craziest game of the weekend series against the Red Sox up in Fenway, and probably the most annoying loss for the Yankees for the season. Hard to judge if it's the worst loss. Maybe the worst loss could have been this one. It could also been, if you remember a couple of weeks ago up in Toronto, they had like an 8-3 or a 10-3 lead. Actually, it was like an 8-3 lead or something. Ended up blowing that. The bullpen kind of faltered. One of the rare times the bullpen faltered, and in this game the bullpen would falter as well. Get into that, but again, probably overall, maybe the dramatics of it and being Fenway, you could list this one as the worst loss for the Yankees so far this season, even though the Yankees are having a great season. But to the game itself, Jordan Montgomery on the mound against Cutter Crawford. Now, Monty, for the most part, was rather good. Now, he did give up an RBI single in the 2nd inning to Bobby Dahlbeck to fall behind 1-0. But other than that, kind of kept it close for the Yankees, and the Yankees would finally get on the board in the 5th inning thanks to a solo home run from Aaron Hicks. So again, the Hicks
bat heating up, tying the game to 1-1. And now if you look at Aaron Hicks, if you look at the grand slam in Pittsburgh, hitting a home run in the first game, and now a home run in this third game. Again, the Hicks bat heating up a little bit and good. We've been waiting for that. At the point, tying the game 1-1. Now the Yankee offense would then break through a little bit in the sixth inning, thanks to a couple of an RBI double by Anthony Rizzo, as well as Josh Donaldson with a single that scored Rizzo, put the Yankees up at that point 3-1, and you kind of feel good at this point. Again, the Boston bullpen not really known to be that great, and the Yankee bullpen, of course, the exact opposite. And just the way the mood was, and the way the Yankees were kind of tacked on those runs, you really felt like this was going to be an easy Yankee win. They would go up 3-0 in this series, and you just kind of feel good just to be sticking it to the Red Sox. But the Red Sox would claw back. In the sixth inning, again, former Yankee Rob Ruffschneider, he would also give the Yankees a little fits later on in this game, putting a solo home run on the board, pulling a ball from Monty over the Green Monster, cutting the lead to 3-2. But you still felt good that the Yankees were going to win this game. Michael King came on, for the most part was good, but did run into a little trouble in the eighth inning, and this was probably the pivotal point of the game. King with 2 outs serves up a double to J.D. Martinez. So with a runner on second, 2 outs, I guess Boone at that point looked at the matchups and I guess figured King was tiring a little bit. Decided to bring out Clay Holmes for the 4-out save. But unfortunately for Holmes, a little shaky. Again, he was good in the first game on the mound there in Game 1. But unfortunately, this game's control wasn't just as good. Xander Bogaerts working a walk, so put runners on first and second. And even before we get to that, pinch running for J.D. Martinez at second base was Jeter Downs. Again, Martinez not as quick. Jeter Downs, actually named after Derek Jeter, ironically, on second base, and a speedster where, again, a single could score the run, and that's exactly what happened. Alex Verdugo up at the plate, so the left hitting Verdugo against Clay Holmes. And I guess with Clay Holmes, he has that heavy sinker. Actually, they positioned IKF instead of playing in his normal shortstop hole, had him kind of up the middle, and Verdugo, again, some brilliant hitting, hit the ball right to the shortstop hole. Now, again, if they played a normal straight-up defense, that would have been a normal ground out, but no one was there in the hole, and then Jeter Downs was able to score easily at that point, tying the game 3-3 at that point in the eighth inning, and that was kind of where the game was blown. Now the Yankees would take a lead later on, but that was the situation. If the Yankees could have gotten out of that, you kind of had to feel like the Yankees would have taken the game. But unfortunately, the Yankees had blown the lead at that point. And again, it was the first time in 47 games this season, so the Yankees were 47-0 after leading after 7 innings. So, and that that streak would end on this particular night. Now the Yankees did have a glimmer of hope. Actually went to the 10th inning. Of course, that's when you have the ghost runner involved. Now, at second base was Jose Trevino. Again, Higgy started the game, had to be pinch hit for DJ LeMahieu, and they put Higgy in. So they put Trevino in to take LeMahieu's place because LeMahieu can't catch. So you had Trevino on second base, Aaron Judge up, and that's the person you definitely want to plate there with an opportunity to score. Trevino at second base hits a double to center field, scores Trevino easily. Yankees at the point take a 4-3 lead, but not to be undone, Anthony Rizzo comes up soon after against the lefty, pulls the ball, hits a double of his own, scores Judge, and now the Yankees are up 5-3 with Anthony Rizzo at second base. And here was a point of the game here where I gotta kind of gotta blame Rizzo a little bit, not blame, but kind of give him a bad mark, a slap on the wrist. He's at second base there. You have a lefty up. Now, Giancarlo Stanton at the plate at the time. He was 0 for 4, but in the driver's seat, again, lefty against the righty Stanton. You like that matchup. You like the idea of Stanton maybe hit the ball hard somewhere, maybe hitting it off the wall, or even hitting a home run. He hits a lot of those at Fenway Park. Rizzo decides to steal third base, which I just thought was a bad decision, unnecessary. I just thought really just took the ad of the bubble for that little Yankee rally. The Red had 2 runs on the board. The pitcher was kind of looking a little deflated there, looking a little defeated, but they kind of helped him out there by Rizzo stealing third base. Now we've seen Rizzo be kind of sneaky fast throughout the season. He kind of does that, and he's stolen some runs for the Yankees. But this is a position where I don't think he should have done that. Nailed it third easily, and then Stanton made out after that and kind of. It killed an opportunity for the Yankees maybe to put on another run. So this brought us down to the bottom of the 10th inning. Now the Yankees up 2 runs. You still feel good about that. Now, interestingly, Boone decided to go with Wandy Peralta instead of Aroldis Chapman. And just because, again, we've seen Chapman have some struggles, especially on the mound in Fenway. And Peralta, kind of a cool, calm character. Yeah, maybe get in trouble a little bit, but doesn't seem to get phased or overwhelmed. So I kind of like that decision by Boone. But unfortunately, Peralta, not really effective. So the ghost runner was Jared Durant there at second base. Now, Rob Ruffschneider, who hit a home run early in the game to pull the deficit 3-2, hits a single to left field, puts Durant now at third base. So now you have a first and third situation. Jeter Downs comes out. Again, he's the guy who pinch ran for J.D. Martinez. Again, you worry about J.D. Martinez's bat a little bit than you would Jeter Downs, but the rookie pinch runner there, now a hitter, gets a single to right field. So now you have Duran scores easily at the point, cutting the deficit now to 5-4, and now you have runners on first and second base with one out. But in a situation now, you feel Boston's getting a little momentum there, and the Yankees now, you're a little like, is Boston going to come back? We've seen the Yankee bullpen be, bend but never break, so kind of a situation you're not used to seeing from the Yankees. So next coming up was Xander Bogaerts. Now, if, again, it was a double play situation for the Yankees, would have gotten them out of the inning and out of the game, and they would have won with 1-0 out. So they got exactly what they wanted. Peralta was able to get Bogaerts to scream a ground ball to third base to Josh Donaldson. Unfortunately, Donaldson momentarily bobbled it. Now, it's hard to say if they would have been able to definitely complete the double play on that one. I'm not sure if they would have, but they at least would have got the runner at second. But unfortunately, Donaldson bobbled it, had no play at second base, so had to throw it to first base. So they do get Bogaerts now at first base. But unfortunately, now you have a situation, now you have runners at second and third, which means now just a single is going to score those 2 runs. And Alex Verdugo up at the plate. And again, Verdugo, the player who tied the game in the 8th inning, so he was the hero in the 8th, and unfortunately for the Yankees, he would also be the hero in the 10th inning. Again, a lefty on lefty situation. You would like Peralta's chances there, but unfortunately Verdugo was able to pull the ball, score the 2 runs, and unfortunately it was a 6-5 walk-off win for the Boston Red Sox, and just kind of a bit of a gut-wrenching loss for the New York Yankees. Not a disaster, like collapse type of loss, but a really annoying loss. But again, an exciting game. But that's the game you got to look at, and you look at different points of that. And again, I almost have to blame Rizzo there for stealing second base. I have a feeling that Stanton would be able to do something there and put the Yankees had 6-3 at that point, but unfortunately they would only walk away 5-3 and end up losing the game 6-5. Well, we all know this 2022 Yankee team has been great, but you can't have a great team without great players. So voted as a starter, we all know what's going to happen, was Aaron Judge, but joining him in the outfield will be Giancarlo Stanton, be the first pair of Yankee outfielders to start an All-Star game since 1988 when Dave Winfield and Ricky Henderson did that. Also voted in was Jose Trevino. He's not going to start. That's going to go to Alejandro Kirk from Toronto. But the Yankees are also going to be sending Nestor Cortez as well as Garrett Cole, both having a really good season as the starters. And then, of course, Clay Holmes, breakout season as a closer. So those 6 Yankees will be going to the All-Star game. Congratulations to them. And if you haven't done it already, I want to remind you, sign up for the Section 420 Talkin Yankees podcast. It's audio-only exclusive content. You can only get it by being subscribed. So wherever you get your podcast, subscribe to that. And last but not least, the Bronx Muchachos. If you're not familiar with them, they were a guest on my show a little bit, about a month or 2 ago. I'm going to be a guest on their show coming up on July 28th. So it's July 28th at 9 o'clock. So go on Twitter, find the Bronx Muchachos, sign up for them, and on the 28th, catch yours truly talking some Yankees with them.